Making tall, buttery, flaky, and crispy buttermilk biscuits is easier than you think.
Sally, that girl, in the kitchen. Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Sally, that girl, in the kitchen. In today's episode, I'm going to teach you how to make tall, buttery, flaky, and crispy buttermilk biscuits. Yes, they have everything. They have that beautiful height that we want in a great biscuit. They're buttery, they've got layers, super flaky, and the outside, since they've got that butter running throughout, gets golden and crispy and absolutely perfect. They're super delicious served alone with a little jam or a little honey. You don't even need the extra butter because there's tons of butter in them and they're golden and gorgeous. So I am super excited to teach you how to make these. These you'd expect to get at a great Southern restaurant during a breakfast, a lunch, a brunch, anytime really. They're just absolutely divine. So let's not wait another second and let's get started.
For today's recipe, you will need 4 cups of all-purpose flour, 3 tablespoons of baking powder, 2 teaspoons of sugar, 1 teaspoon of salt, 2 sticks or 16 tablespoons of salted butter, which needs to be very cold, and 2 cups of buttermilk, which also needs to be very cold. You will also need a large bowl, a large baking tray, some parchment paper, some wax paper, a wet measuring cup, some dry measuring cups, some measuring spoons, a biscuit cutter. I'm using one that is 3 1/4 inches in diameter, and at that diameter, I'm going to be getting 8 biscuits. You'll also need a pastry cutter, but you can replace that with a fork and a knife if you don't have one. And you'll need a bench scraper, a long, thin knife, a wooden spoon, and a large fork, such as a serving fork, and some oven mitts. So now that we have all of our ingredients and tools together, let's get started. So the first thing you're going to want to do is preheat your oven to 450 degrees, making sure you have a rack placed in the center. Then we're going to work on our buttermilk and our butter. Those are really cold. I just pulled them out of the fridge. And what I like to do is serve my 2 cups of buttermilk into a Pyrex measuring cup and cut up my 2 sticks of butter into very small cubes, place them on some wax paper, and into the freezer they go while I prepare the rest of the ingredients. Now, while those are getting super chilly, then I'm going to go ahead and grab my large bowl, and into it I'm going to add 4 cups of all-purpose flour. It's nice and fluffy. I fluffed it up in the bag before I scooped it out. You don't want it real tight when you scoop out your flour. And then into that, I'm going to add 3 whole tablespoons of baking powder as my leavening agent. I want to make sure I mix that in really well, distribute it well amongst the flour. Then I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of sugar. I'm going to mix that in too. The idea here is just to get everything well incorporated, and then 1 teaspoon of salt, and once again mix that in really well. I just use my fork, make sure to get it well incorporated. So now remember that butter we have in the freezer, we're going to bring that out and we're going to add all of those little cubes into our dry ingredients, making sure to get all of that yummy goodness in. And then what we're going to do is we're going to just take our pastry cutter and we're going to cut the cubes of butter into our flour mixture. And what we're doing here is we're incorporating that butter and we're distributing it amongst this flour. And we're also breaking up those cubes a little further and making them into even smaller pieces, but they're really cold and they're going to be well distributed in this mixture so that when we bake our biscuits, they are fluffy and delicious. So every so often you can go in and clean up that pastry cutter and then just continue to cut that butter in until you have some small little pieces of butter running throughout. So now it's time to pull out our very cold buttermilk. It's nice and cold, and this really creates flakiness in these biscuits. So cold ingredients are a must. And then you want to grab a wooden spoon or whatever your tool of preference is, and you're just going to mix this together and stir it in. So when you're making biscuits, or really a lot of pastries that require cold ingredients, you want to work quickly. You want to make sure that those ingredients stay nice and cold because it'll provide an incredible result. So now I've just cleaned off my wooden spoon, and I'm just going to pour this shaggy mixture right onto my working surface, which of course is impeccably clean. And then I'm going to switch to using my hands. And in just a matter of moments, the mixture will quite quickly become a cohesive dough. And then we're just going to flatten that out into a disc, and using your bench scraper, if you have one, if not, a knife will do just fine. You're going to divide your dough into 4. So we're going to create 2 piles. I stacked them on top of each other, and each of these piles will make 4 biscuits. So all I'm doing is cutting the dough in half and then just stacking it again on top of itself, because this is going to create the beautiful layers that you're always looking for in a really great buttermilk biscuit. So I'm going to show you what it looks like up close. Do you see all those different layers? When we cut our biscuits, we're going to get those layers running throughout our biscuits, because what we've done is cut our dough a few times, stacked it right on top of itself, and then just gently flattened it down. You'll notice I'm not overworking the dough. I'm hardly touching it. I'm just pressing it down. I don't want to melt that butter. And then I'm just going to cut out straight down. You don't want to wiggle it. You don't want to turn it. You just want to go straight down with your biscuit cutter and cut out your biscuits. And look at how beautiful they are, filled with layers because we've stacked the dough on top of itself, and you can see the lines running throughout. Beautiful, flaky, tall, buttery biscuits. These are going to be amazing. So as I've been cutting, I've just been taking those trimmings and then just stacking the dough again on top of itself. And I have been just continuing to cut. I got 4 out of the first half, and I'm going to repeat the process with the second half. And I'm going to end up with beautiful, tall biscuits. I'm going to get 8 in total. I'm going to place them on my lined tray, which I lined with parchment paper. And these guys are looking gorgeous and ready for the oven. Look at how tall, flaky, and beautiful they look. So I placed them on a center rack, and I'm going to set a 15-minute timer to allow these guys to bake. And after 15 minutes, you're going to carefully pull them out. And they are smelling incredible, and the butter has melted just a bit, and it lays out on the parchment a little bit, so you want to let them sit right there on the tray. Let them absorb whatever butter they have let out, and it'll just be reabsorbed into the biscuit. And because they're so buttery, look at how golden they've become, which is why I call them crispy, because the outside becomes crispy while the inside stays fluffy and flaky and light. It's an incredible contrast of textures, and it's just absolutely delicious. So, of course, I'm going to let them sit for a couple of minutes, and then I'm going to carefully remove them. Look at this gorgeous biscuit. It really is remarkable. They stay nice and tall. They've got those layers running throughout, and they're just absolutely beautiful. So I'm going to let them cool for a bit on a cooling rack, and then I'm going to serve them. And you can serve them with some jam, extra butter, although it doesn't need the butter because I'm telling you, these are super buttery as it is. Some honey is amazing. Honestly, anything you serve these with, you can't go wrong. Look at how gorgeous this biscuit is. It's absolutely perfect. I grabbed this one because it's a little extra crispy, and look at how golden and gorgeous the bottom is. It's just so beautiful. Look at how tall this biscuit is. Honestly, super impressive. You saw how easy it is to get these layers. And when you open it up, you're going to see it's like an accordion. You see all the different layers running throughout. That right there is a good buttermilk biscuit. And then the inside is still fluffy and light. It's just perfect. The texture is amazing. Mmm, so yummy, buttery, and delicious. It's just absolutely perfect. However you like to eat your biscuit, I just kind of break mine apart and I just go for it. So, so tasty. I'm actually going to put a little bit of jam on this little piece right here. It's just an amazing vessel. Mmm, so crazy good. I'm telling you, some honey, your favorite jam. It's perfect. It's crispy on the outside, fluffy, flaky on the inside. You can't go wrong with these biscuits, and you saw how easy they are to make, and the result is really something super yummy. Perfectly flavorful. And of course, if you insist on putting on a little butter, then of course, no judgment. You can put a little butter on them, have them with some honey, serve them however you like. So good. Everyone is going to love these. They're absolutely delicious.
So did I deliver or what? Did you see the height on those biscuits? They turn out absolutely beautiful and tall. They have all those yummy layers running throughout. They're buttery, they're flaky, they're crispy. They are everything I promised, and they're easy to make. So simple. You just put together a few ingredients, stack it up, cut them out, bake them, and you've got fresh, amazing biscuits that everyone will appreciate. They are absolutely fabulous. Trust me. No, better yet, don't trust me. You're gonna have to try this recipe yourself. And of course, if you enjoyed today's recipe, don't forget to like it, write a sweet comment, share it with your friends, save it. That really helps my channel, so thank you so much for doing that. And of course, if you're not subscribed to Sally That Girl in the Kitchen here on YouTube, be sure to subscribe and to touch that little notification bell so that you don't miss out on all the recipes that I'm constantly putting out and all the recipes that are already there up on my channel. And if you're not following me on social media, be sure to follow Sally That Girl in the Kitchen on Facebook, Instagram, and on Pinterest. And you can find me as Sally That Girl FL on Twitter, Snapchat, and on TikTok. And of course, don't forget my Amazon store. So some of the products that I use in my videos, I feature in my Amazon store. I do make a small commission if you use my link, so I do appreciate when you do that. And you can find that link to my store on my Facebook page, on my Instagram page, and on the banner of my YouTube channel when viewing on an iPad or on a computer. Or of course, you can message me through my social media pages, and I'm happy to share the link with you. So thank you. I appreciate when you do that too. And of course, thank you so, so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Sally That Girl in the Kitchen.